Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in again to another episode of CivilianTacticalWeapons.com. Today's episode is actually going to be a follow-up to a whole series of different questions I've had asked about Aimpoint optics, what is co-witnessing, a bunch of different terms that I've just kind of taken for granted that people understood, and I haven't actually explained in very great detail. So what I'm going to do is talk about that, also talk about some new mounting options of the micro T1s that I sell, and a couple other little minor things. So first thing I want to cover is co-witnessing. The definition of co-witnessing varies depending on the manufacturer. So let me explain what most people refer to co-witnessing, and then I'll explain how some of the manufacturers vary from it. This Aimpoint optic, for example, this is my Comp ML3 sitting on here, is completely co-witnessed with the iron sights. True co-witnessing means that the center of this dot, when I'm actually looking through the rear sight is lined up with the red dot, which is lined up with the front sight. That's a true co-witness. However, not all manufacturers refer to that as co-witnessing. A good example of this is a few of the other manufacturers say that as long as the magnifier, or not magnifier, the optic can still sit on it and you can still see some form of this, even though that the dots aren't lined up, that I can still see through maybe the bottom third of the lens, I can still see my iron sights, they refer to that as co-witnessing. So it is a key thing to understand the differences between what the different manufacturers define as co-witnessing. I personally don't really consider that a true co-witness, and that's the reason why Aimpoint has various different options of how you mount it, depending on the height. So for example, this one has a spacer in here. So inside this optic, this one's actually lifted a little higher. It's called a 39mm mount versus a 30mm mount. So if you're trying to co-witness with iron sights on, this is an FN SCAR, but if you have any typical AR, this is what the sight's going to be. You're going to need a 39mm overall. So what I'm going to do is talk about the micro T1 and the different options there. One other thing I wanted to mention is I sell these. These are called kill flashes. And let me explain what a kill flash is. If you talk about military combat, what happens is lenses have a reflection. So in order to, sometimes you may give away your position. This is more important in the military than your traditional tactical shooting, for example. But if you're looking at, you don't want the front lens to give your position away, you can actually put this little kill flash, which is a honeycomb. These little kill flashes I sell separately. You can actually take and put onto the any of the Comp series of optics. So as you can see, it screws on. And from in here, let me have you take a look at an angle there. You can see that this kill flash is sitting in there. The cover still closes completely over it, doesn't interfere with the operation of the cover, and I look through it, I'm actually looking through a honeycomb, it's the best way of describing it, which some people may find a little bit distracting, but it all depends on which operation you're using for the gun. In this case, what I'm doing is this is designed to protect someone from being seen from another position. So this is mainly a military application, but a lot of people like having this particular option on their Aimpoint. The Comp M4Ss that I sell actually come with these. So if you do have a Comp M4S you bought from me and you don't like the kill flash, you can actually just unscrew it, as you can see there. It's not a big deal to remove the kill flash. The next thing I want to do is continue the discussion on the co-witnessing. Most people who actually buy the micro T1s, if you look at how the micro T1 would sit on this, you can see that there's no way this Comp M1, or I'm sorry, this micro T1 is going to co-witness with those optics, as you can see. So what happens is this needs to be lifted, and this is a reason why on the website I keep stressing how important it is to get a spacer kit. Actually, let me point it the correct direction. So what happens here is one of the most popular spacer kits that a lot of people get are the LaRue mounts. So if you look at the way the LaRue mount sits, it clips onto here. You can actually put the LaRue mount right onto and then right onto your rail system. You remove this bottom portion of the Micro T1, so you take these 4 screws off, you would mount it right on top, and this would actually allow it to co-witness. So this mount, the existing rail system that you have there, would actually be removed. Take these 4 screws off. It comes with 4 longer screws, which would actually go straight through the bottom and then rail up into here. The benefit of this one here, it's about the retail on this is like $120. The LaRue mount, what's nice about it is it will return to 0. So if you're looking for something you can take on and off a gun or whatever very quickly, this is a good option. However, it's kind of expensive. You're already spending quite a few $100s for a Micro T1, and then you need to mount it somehow to get it to co-witness, and you're spending another $120. Not exactly the most ideal solution. This actually runs you probably about 50 bucks cheaper on average, and I sell these. These are actually the Aimpoint spacer mounts for the Micro T1s. So what these happens is you actually take the bottom piece off of here, just like you would on the LaRue. You put this spacer in between, and they take that bottom mount, and the bottom mount would actually mount to the bottom of this, and then this would mount directly to the bottom of the optic. And then what happens is you would take this and screw it onto here with the another enclosed of the little Micro T1 tools that actually comes with the system. If you're not planning on removing the optic on and off the gun all the time, which I actually never do, so having a quick release for my actual optic versus my magnifier is a whole different story. I want to be able to remove the magnifier on and off the gun, but I don't ever want to remove the actual red dot. If I've sighted the entire system in, I have no interest in wanting to take it off, even if it claims it can get close to a 1 MOA return to 0 type thing. Whatever it is, I don't feel 100% comfortable with moving them at all. And at the end of the day, if I move it to another gun, the chances are it's not zeroed in for that gun, so I'd have to readjust it anyways. So you can't realistically use the same optic on different guns because you're going to have different points of zero, and any benefit of using some real expensive mount to do that is kind of lost. It's an expensive way of doing it. I really don't recommend these. However, if you do want these, I do sell the LaRue LT 660s, but I also want you to be aware of this more cheaper option of being able to mount the Micro T1 and still have that lift of it so that it will line up and truly co-witness on any form of an AR platform. So anyways, I hope that answers your questions about one, co-witnessing, various different options Aimpoint has for co-witnessing onto a AR platform. And remember, if you have any questions, please email me at info@civiliantacticalweapons.com. It's the only email address I actually respond to. And of course, I sell all these different types of Aimpoint optics, so go ahead and take a look at the online store. If you have any questions or need some special pricing, go ahead and contact me on that too. Anyways, I hope to see you next week.